that I'm doing this Overpowered Character Done Right series, and being that Raven was essentially my first waifu, and still to this day one of the greatest characters ever, and no, it's not weird that she was a teen, I was a teen, and to this day, she is still one of my favorite fictional female characters of all time. So, being that in certain circumstances she is overpowered, when her emotions get loose and whatever, she definitely qualifies for this Overpowered Done Right series, and if you like this video, I will definitely be going more in depth as far as Raven's psychology and philosophy, which really cemented her as one of my favorite female characters ever. I tell you to like this video, so I'll do the next one, but I'll probably do the next one anyway, so definitely subscribe. That would be really dope and cool and stuff. Evil beware, we have waffles, and there's a whole philosophical argument I have as to why that line is so beautiful, but we'll save that for next time. In the meantime, for those of you who don't know about Teen Titans, it's this show that came out in 2003, and it's my favorite cartoon. At least, it's my favorite non-adultish cartoon. I mean, I guess I kind of like something like Rick and Morty more, but that appeals to a different side of me. Epic foreshadowing for a Rick OP analysis. But as far as Teen Titan goes, it's a show about 5 teens. They become the Teen Titans. They make more friends along the way. It's all lovely. They beat bad guys, random superhero stuff. It's also funny. The dynamic is great. And wow, that was an all-encompassing review of Teen Titans. Now, I firmly believe that each member of the core Titans is a wonderful character, but none hit me as hard as Raven. Raven is easily my favorite, and for the most part, overpowered characters get a wonderful rap, but are also very often really poorly written. I mean, if let's say, out of the 5 Titans, one of the Titans was really overpowered compared to the rest of the world, well, that Titan would get all the spotlight, nothing would be a challenge, and it would be lame. Now, this is the obvious reason as to why a core cast member can't be overpowered in regards to his colleagues as well as in regard to his enemies. And that's why Raven, base Raven, is not overpowered. She does fit in with the dynamic of the other Titans, but it's only when her emotions, let's just say, break loose that she's an absolute terror on screen. This is first revealed in the episode Nevermore in Teen Titans Season 1, where Dr. Light is fighting with all the Titans. He's beating all the Titans because he's really strong, and as we know, this is the first time he's introduced, and anytime a villain is introduced for the first time, he's always much stronger than he is in the future times. Very cool. Literally all of fiction, very cool. But as he's taking down the Titans, Raven was having a bad day, and after getting zapped by Dr. Light says, "What's the matter? Afraid of the light?" To which Raven replies,
"What's the matter? Afraid of the dark?"
Where she goes full demon psycho mode. Her eyes are red. She's way overpowered. She annihilates Dr. Light, who is giving all the Titans a really hard time simultaneously, and she immediately feels terrible about what she's done. She puts her cloak over her head and walks away alone. This is not only the first glance of Raven's overwhelming power when unleashed, but it's also the first glance into who Raven is. Until this point, she was just another member of the team. Granted, she was a little more gothic and mopey than the rest of them. She was quieter and less flamboyant, but now we actually know there's a problem. Writing overpowered characters works entirely different if you're talking about a hero or if you're talking about a villain. When writing an overpowered villain, it's relatively easy to introduce them, being that, oh my god, this villain is so strong. How are we ever going to defeat him? That's amazing. We immediately look at this villain with awe and respect and stuff. Very cool villain. But the difficulty with villains is how to deal with them after this introduction. In a simple sense, if this villain commands so much awe and respect for being overpowered, won't defeating him usually end up just lame? If you think about it, that's why so many beloved overpowered villains are in fact dealt with so poorly. Now, there are many exceptions to this, which is what I talk about in my other videos, but in regards to overpowered heroes, the issue isn't how to deal with them at the end. The issue is introducing them and having them play out. Now, my single biggest issue with Justice League is the fact that Superman is so damn strong, and there has to be a reason in literally every episode why Superman couldn't single-handedly wipe out all the bad guys. Either he's preoccupied with something, they happened to get their hand on kryptonite, the Justice League had to split up and were focused on the non-Superman party, or it's an actual Superman episode where he has trouble, but the rest of the Justice League isn't usually all that helpful. It's amazing to introduce an overpowered villain, even though it's difficult to get rid of him, and it's amazing to have an overpowered hero, but it's difficult to integrate. disintegrate him. Or in this case, her. Very cool, Nux, very cool. Raven solves this problem because she's not always at 100 million% power, annihilating all of her foes, even though when she's at the strongest heights of her power, she's unmatched by all the villains they face. As strong as Raven was when she fought Trigon at the end of season 4 is just levels above and beyond almost any other characters introduced in the series. She was literally fighting the devil incarnate. That is the utmost level of her potential badassery. Now, she's strong in other episodes. It's not just that one moment. It's any time there's some form of massive emotional leak. For example, there was an episode where she found this mystical book that had a spirit trapped in it, and the spirit was teaching her how to become stronger and stronger, and she was happier and happier. Happiness being an emotion she was exuding, and therefore she was able to exude more power. However, she was utterly fooled by the spirit in this book, who's just using her to try and escape. And of course, she eventually defeated this dragon that was trapped within. Now, unlike every other Titan, which is very straightforward as to who they are, even Robin, the guy who never takes off his mask and is never willing to share his identity with even his closest friends, is a much more straightforward character. We know Robin for Robin. Maybe not who he is when he's off duty, even though he's never off duty, but that's irrelevant. The other Titans understand him like a core member of the family. They know him, they appreciate him, he appreciates them, and they each let each other into their lives. I mentioned Robin specifically because Beast Boy, Starfire, and Cyborg literally wear their personalities and mental predicaments like a suit of armor. None of them are trying to hide literally anything about themselves as three very extroverted, fun characters. Even Robin, who's more secretive, doesn't hide his mental situation from his friends, he hides his external physical one. Raven hides. Throughout the series, we don't know why until that pivotal moment in season 4, and it makes her outbursts of being really overpowered and awesome mean so much more, being that we don't know the source for it. We understand from the very beginning that she had daddy issues, and we also understand from the episode that she was body swapped with Starfire, that Starfire, being an emotional loose cannon, was just firing off Raven's telekinetic powers everywhere. We know that Raven is constantly putting up mental barriers, mentally squashing down her emotions in order to not lose control. She's overpowered when she does lose control, and therefore, her being overpowered definitely has its hang-up that cannot be relied on in every situation. Whereas Superman is equally strong everywhere, Raven is not. But when Raven is, we don't always want her to be. This big time solves the hurdle of integrating an overpowered hero with their comrades, because Raven is not overpowered for the vast majority of time. It's very possible for her to enter her overpowered state, and that's always dangling right before us, but she's literally a danger to everyone when she does. So it's not only a last resort, it's something that can never be relied on. Now, the Titans draw more and more power depending on what is going on screen. Obviously, adrenaline matters, planning matters, and tactics matter. So, entering a battle spontaneously, the Titans are all at base level, but when fighting for their friends in a preconceived battle, things turn out so much more differently. Now I'll explain. The power of friendship does not exist in Teen Titans. And when I say does not exist, I mean this mythical power that, due to the fact that the friends are around me, it gives me the ability to be far stronger for this little period of time that doesn't really make sense power scaling wise, but you know, because of friends and stuff, I always draw Exodia. It's very cool. Even though my fire type Pokemon is against a water type Pokemon, because my friends are at my sides, my fire type Pokemon will start using only electric attacks. Yes, there is none of that BS type power of friendship. However, when their friends are on the line, they obviously fight harder. When Slade is attempting to kidnap Raven in season 4 to revive Trigon and, you know, cause Armageddon and stuff, you know, typical Monday morning for Teen Titans, the Titans put up their best dukes to protect Raven, and obviously they fight harder than they ever have before. Robin is throwing gadgets everywhere. Starfire is lasering the flizzles out of her adversaries. Cyborg hooked himself up to the entire Titan Tower generator to fire out these massive sonic Sonic cannon attack thingos, and Beast Boy, instead of transforming into his normal animals, he transformed into the Beast, a state he was only in once, and a state that completely corroded his mind. I mention this because Raven also had a power boost to protect the Titans from her father, and that was far closer to the very end. Raven's power boost did not exactly look like any of the others. It looked like it was a more power of friendship-y power boost, but in actuality it was not at all. Since Raven's magic stems directly from her emotions, and she has to constantly be squashing down her emotions to keep her powers in check, lest she goes berserk and ends up a little bit more like her father, it creates a wonderful dynamic. A dynamic that I always like seeing in whatever media I'm experiencing. I like how the power system in Undertale allows you to save and load at free will, and that is actual determination in the game. I like how the power system in Hunter x Hunter literally shapes everyone's psyche into their magic, and I can keep going as to why I like each of my favorite power systems. Raven's power is 100% tied to her mental state, and not only does that mean she's more powerful when she's passionate and more dangerous when she's passionate, but it means she can't be passionate. She has to live through a life suffering where she's causing her own depression purposely to avoid a meltdown. It can hardly imagine what it takes to live such a life, but more on that on the Psychology of Raven video. I mention it here because it's important to understand exactly what makes her power feel so much when she uses it. It makes her not only badass to regard as an overpowered character when she is using her full power, but it comes with all the weight and emotions we know she suppresses forever to stop herself from losing it. Just like every moment in the series where she goes berserk and evil using her insane abilities, it fills us with a dread. This is a character that's part of our life. Teen Titans is literally a slice of life series, each episode focusing on different aspects of their lives. We know their lives, and Raven doesn't freak out that often. When she does, it's terrifying. None of the Titans know how to deal with it either, putting us in their shoes entirely. And all that dread and terror in her character, as well as all the pity we feel for her in regard to squashing her emotions, is all flipped on their head entirely when she actually unleashes her insane power for good. This is why I mentioned the Titans earlier, because when she's fighting her father at the very end, after her father wiped out all life in the universe, aside from the Titans, because Slade protected them with the Ring of Azar, not the point! He was destroying the Titans. His lowest exertion of effort was far more than any of the Titans had any hope of countering. And then Raven comes through a very long personal journey where we learned so much more about herself and where we learned how much the Titans actually mean to her. After all this, she finally confronts her father when she was thought to have lost all of her powers. And she says, "Fathers are kind. Fathers protect you. Fathers raise you. I was protected by the monks of Azarath. I was raised by my friends. They are my family. This is my home, and you are not welcome here." This is the only single moment in the entire series where we see the full exertion of her power, with all the emotion behind it, flipping all of the terror we've seen before and flipping all of the pity we've seen before on their heads, using every ounce of her power to protect her friends in the most powerful surge of positive emotions imaginable. This wasn't just a confrontation of her past meeting her present, this was her tragic past trying to destroy her present and future, as well as the present and future of the people that she cared for most. This is when her overpowered state emerges. This is why she's an overpowered character done right. I say this for literally every overpowered character that I think is done right. Not only does it need to fit narratively well with the story without making massive power scaling plot holes, but it also has to fit thematically and psychologically with the character and how she interacts with everyone else. Raven's powers is literally an embodiment of her psyche, so immediately that is a huge victory on that end. In its simplest form, Raven is everything I want to see in an overpowered hero. But as far as why she's one of my favorite female characters in all of fiction, to the exception, of course, of Ojama Yellow, obviously truly a masterclass, that is based entirely on her psychology, which will be a future video on this channel if you like this video. Probably, regardless, but that's not the point. So please leave a like and subscribe for future overpowered analyses on anything, for the next Raven video, for other Teen Titan videos if you like, I don't mind, I like Teen Titans a lot, as well as for anime stuff, whether it's satire or analysis. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be alerted as soon as possible to the deep philosophy philosophy behind the evil beware, I have waffles line, which is truly one of the greatest writing works I've seen in my entire life. Socrates, get wrecked. Link is in the description to my Twitter. Feel free to follow me there. Fun fact, on Twitter, I said I was making a video on best girl ever and asked you guys to guess, and I got 500 guesses, all wrong, until Caster for Life came along and actually guessed Raven from Teen Titans. I don't know how you did it. You deserve the utmost props. Kudos to you. Follow me on Twitter for more epic shenanigans. That would be dope. Also, link is in the description to my Patreon. All patrons are invited to the Discord server where I hang and where I meme. For example, there's a meme going around and everyone in the Discord server has the same name. I don't know how it started, but hey, I'm glad memes die quickly. I wanted to especially thank David Anole, Negus Nogus, Burning Bush, Rise Warren, Sage of Snake, Wilson Fletcher, Team Sparky65, Girthy Worm, Jim, Fernando Costa, Chunky Nibbles, Allison Stricker, The Wolf of Gar, JD Fincher, Q-Tippy Laser Shin, The Ethan Ravy Landic, King Tank Games, Kevin McLean, Jordan, White Noise 32, Talon, Bestest Eddie Cross, Mitchell Garnett, Miriam Ramirez, Chesia, Trigreen, Hammers the Great, Ian Martin, Praise Lord Girugameshu, Serial Flex Offender, Shinon, Lord Sasho Maru, Kid Ori, JJ Slaybrams, Joshua Faber, The Night Brights, LJ, Kaiser Wanar, Ali, Isan Dinsoko, Nothing But a Fan, Divine Reigns, Exiled, Teakui, Skyler Leg, some guy named Bob, Samuel Guzman, Burning Halo, Los Polos Hermanos, Juan Centeno, Camelane, Jeffrey Baltazar, King Rainbow, and Karma. I also wanted to thank the Lord Tweeger Rank, Steelers, Chubbs is the Man, Noctris 13, Pod 6 was Jerks, Elliot Gonzalez, MD, Adria Pika, Soza Nerdified, Everest, The Ninth Master, and Typical Anime. Thanks to the God who's upranked, Dark Element, Eduardo Flores, Puzerker, Steve, Necro, Sunny Parks, Maurice Luis Dreyfus, and Esposito, and thanks to the man, the myth, the legend, Steve, Datura Metel, and Gintama for life. Thank you all so much for supporting me. It really means the world to me and helps the channel survive. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening. Let me know in the comments what you want in the future. And remember to stay weird, fam.